from 1999 till 2014-15, the country has had it so well. At least the last 8 years of the past administration have seen tremendous revenue in oil prices. Oil has been in the region of an average price of $100 a barrel, and production has been in an average of 2.3 million barrels per day. So that's tremendous amount of money coming in. And this is the economy we inherited. And when we came in, the story changed drastically. Price of oil dropped at one time to 30 or so dollars a barrel, and production at that time also dropped to about 500,000 barrels a day. So look at the huge difference. And when we came in, if you remember, about 27 states were not paying salaries. Some of them 2, 3, 4 months arrears, and some even 6, 7 months arrears. So even when oil price was selling, oil was selling at an average price of 100, some states were not being able to pay salaries. But this is the economy we inherited. Economy built on a 2.3 million barrels per day and a price of $100 per day. And then suddenly it crashed to the position that we crashed. And that is really what you have to see and compare this with whatever achievements President Muhammad Buhari have done. And if you are all aware, you are also all aware that President Muhammad Buhari bailed out all the states, and all salary arrears were paid. And he supported the state with what we call budget support to be paying salaries as and when due. And most of the states today pay salary. Even some of the states like ours have been paying the 30,000 naira minimum wage. He supported us also with what we call infrastructure development fund to the tune of about 10 billion to each state. And again, he supported us to pay back to us what is owed to us on the Paris Club deduction that has been done to states and the local government. Large sum of money, some states getting 40, 50, even some getting 80, 90 billion. And that helps the states tremendously well and also helps the economy. And in addition to that, all the pay deduction, that's the pay-as-you-earn deduction done by the federal government that is due for state and is not being paid for so many years together, were paid by President Muhammad Buhari to support the states. All this has happened to keep this economy going, despite the fact that the country is experiencing very low production of oil, as well as lower prices of oil. In addition to that also, you are living witness that what President Muhammad Buhari inherited over 260 roads, of which none of the roads have contractors on site by the time it's taken over. Today, most of these roads have been completed. Those that were not completed because of the distance or the technical issues, contractors are on site working every day. I am sure you fly from, you travel from Kano to Dutse. You have seen the dual carriageway going down to Maiduguri, and I'm sure you have seen contractors on site working, and they are working really very fast. This is what you have seen here, and it's all over. And in addition to that, President Muhammad Buhari awarded a lot of other roads, including Niger Bridge that the people around there are clamoring for so long, and the Abuja-Kano road that has dilapidated so bad, and so many other roads in the country. The decay was serious, but he is pushing to revitalize that, and that helps in sustaining the economy as well. In addition to that, the railway today, they are working day and night on all the aspects we have been enjoying since very long time. The Abuja Kaduna that was completed by him. Kano Ibadan is on test run, and I think there is another line in the east that is almost ready for completion, and so many have been awarded, and work has begun in some of these areas like Kano, Lagos, and so. So was less than 1/3 of what used to accrue to the state, to the federal government. Buhari is doing what was not done at that time, because we were getting less than 1/3 of what was gotten. Because when you look at production of oil at 2.3, and now probably the highest we have reached is 1.7, 1.8, and from the price of 130, 140 sometimes, to a price of that has always ranged between 30 and 50. You have seen that drastic reduction in income. But despite that, President Muhammad Buhari is doing very well. Contractors are on site, new developments coming up, and huge injection into the economy. Look at the social sustainability programs. Look at the social programs done by President Muhammad Buhari. So many people in Jigawa, about 23,000 women receive 5,000 monthly support from the federal government. When you add the N-Power that those youths have 30,000 a month, and also add the school feeding in Jigawa, that we are feeding almost a million students between state and the federal government, and about 9,000 cooks doing the work, which means 9,000 people employed in that section only. And if you come to look at the trader money, market money, and all the support that has been doing now to the people, it's really tremendous. And we go back to agriculture, it's the same. We have never seen it this good. Today, we eat what we produce, mostly. You can see with the COVID, there was no import, and we were able to survive, even though because of speculation and panic buying, prices has gone up, but they have since started stabilizing. So generally, the president have done so well in the economy, and I'm sure they will continue to do so well. And that is using the principle of doing what is best for the people. The same calculator we apply in Jigawa, I think the president applied it. You see, they do things that directly impact to the people. You see no massive celebrations, no massive spending at the government houses, and most of no hidden agenda on spendings. Everything is being done transparently. So we believe that is the reason why we are able to get this far. And I'm sure we will overcome the pandemic, and the economy will boom once again. In Jigawa, we have full cooperation of the community. Both the farmers and the herders are in most time living in peace, because the government intervene and make sure that the farmers do not take law into their own hands, and the herders manage also their own business. And when there are incidences where they have issues, it is being resolved locally at the traditional level by the traditional rulers, and it's been very, very effective. So I think the security agencies, in conjunction with the traditional authority and the Fulani leadership, will sit down and chat where there will be possibility of peace. Nobody wants crisis. And I believe we have seen it in Jigawa. We have been relatively peaceful. Fulani and both farmers and herdsmen are living to a large extent without some few skirmishes. In those that refuse to really stay peaceful, then they will be attacked. They will be handled by the security agencies. I believe both sticking and carroting will help to resolve this matter. A lot of people carry stories that are not true and push those stories to create division, sometimes for political interest. So I would want to beg the politicians to see this country as one, to see that power is given by God and only God, and no amount of scheming will make you get power if God does not will. So it's better you wish and will good to your people, and stop carrying fake news, or stop inciting violence. Yeah, as you recall in Ondo, the governor did not say Fulani must leave. The story was twisted. What he said, those bandits that are in the forest will have to leave the forest because every forest is owned by the government, and the government allow people to use the forest even for a fee. So, and he said, if anybody wants to use the forest, let him get permission, and he will be allowed to use the forest if he remains peaceful. But then people started interpreting that as him saying Fulani must leave the region, or it was wrong, and then misconstrued, and it created tension, and politicians that wants to make political points hammer on that, and wanted to create tension in the country. But it was simple. Nobody can come to your backyard and settle without your permission. So that was what he said. And when we got that, he said that also. And all the Fulanis agreed that, yes, it's normal. You cannot go to somebody's land without his permission and settle. And also the Fulanis said they are peace-loving people. Of course, there are bandits among the Fulanis, as there are thieves and bandits among the Hausas, among the Kanuris, among the Igbos and the Yorubas. And you all have bad eggs in every tribe. So you don't define bad egg with his religion or his tribe. You say this is a bandit, period. And that is what we achieve. And here in Jigawa and in most part of the Northern State, the Fulani leadership usually supported us and helped us to track down whoever is threatening the peace of our place. And they have been doing that successfully. And they don't care if it is a Fulani man or a non-Fulani man. They supported us. They help us in tracking down those bandits and those people kidnapping and stealing. So I believe in every tribe there are good people and there are bad people. In every religion there are good people and there are bad people. And they should be treated as bad people or as good people, not as a tribe. And that was what we achieved there. And we are all, between the Fulani leadership, the government, and the people of the Southwest, all agree that they will have to fight bandits and banditry. They will have to fight criminality from whoever, either Fulani, Hausas, Igbo, Yoruba, or whoever. And that is what we should preach as politicians and stop dividing our people. From the stories we are seeing now, you see there is already a good momentum. Every day you hear that the military has killed some of the Boko Haram's chiefs, and that is helping. And the fact that more weapons are coming in, more aircrafts are coming in, and we're expecting delivery of more this year, that will help really in fighting the Boko Haram. But we also have to also give credit to him. The position we were 2014, 15 when he comes in is completely different. You could have met 20, 30 checkpoints from Kano to Dutse, and I'm sure you met only one now as you are coming, and you are not afraid of being bombed on the way. And the Boko Haram insurgency is really pushed to probably Maiduguri, Borno State alone now, with just few clashes in Adamawa. But before then, it is all over the north. There are bombings in Kano, bombings in Abuja, bombings in Kaduna, everywhere. You are not safe on the road, you are not safe in the market, everywhere. But now it is limited to some few portion in Borno State, and by the special grace of God, they will get over it. And we have to thank the president. He's done remarkably well.